Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And today, I know I haven't made a video in a little bit. I've just been kind of thinking and on where do I really go from here. You know, the whole vibe of this channel, we've actually reached 600 subs, so I just wanted to say thank you. And you know how it is sometimes with this whole game, you know, it's more of like, where do you really go from here? You know, Texas is done pretty much, and I know there's going to be like a small community of people still playing it. And I will make a separate video whenever peer-to-peer comes out. I'm really going to lay it flat on the ground and kind of just not go off, but really give my honest like thought, which is just how I don't know. It's just like a weird thing of just like you're not like angry, but you're also not surprised, because you've seen things like this happen, you know, like with Evil Dead, and now it's happening. It happened with Texas now, and then you got like these other games on the horizon. You know, you got this new game called Summer Camp, which is like a spiritual successor to Friday the 13th, which may sound like, okay, that's just cool on paper, but I've seen some stuff from that game, you know, concept arts, and it seems like the stuff that they were talking about the game, like it sounded like it was interesting, but I'm just already seeing red flags already, and it's not me hating on the game or anything. We all have our concerns, and that's all I care about. Is just I have a lot of like passion for something, and obviously when you have passion, you know, you never want to overstep a thing where it's like, because when people think like criticism is just us being like negative all the time, it's just when you have these ASIM games come out and they don't do well, and you're concerned about the future of it, and you're just actively giving criticism, and the devs can't take it, games are just doomed to fail. It's just a fact. And you know, we saw it with Evil Dead. You know, that was like a whole license thing. And then you saw with Texas Chainsaw, with them going on and saying reached its full potential. 100% bullshit. You know, I've been playing Dead by Daylight and Killer Clowns, and I can say right now that I've been having fun with these games again. They've been fun. You know, I've been kind of getting back on the grind on both of them. You know, with Dead by Daylight, you have the Five Nights at Freddy's chapter next Tuesday, so that's just like right around the corner. And then you got like for Killer Clowns, they just had their anniversary update, and I'll be honest, it was just underwhelming a little bit, because there was just no new clown class, no new like weapons, no new map, just like gameplay improvements, I guess, outfits, 80 new challenges, and all that other stuff, and the new execution with Clownzilla. That was pretty cool, but it just wasn't enough, I would say. It was just like underwhelming, if I had to say. And there just wasn't like enough, you know, enough to it to make it feel satisfying. And I guess for a lot of people, they had expectations, because the way the Twitter account was just like hyping everything up, you know, it was just more of the fact of like, okay, there must be something huge coming, you know, hopefully new classes, gameplay adjustments, you know, because like right now with LOL, I guess they removed the damage buff from it, but they just buffed the shit out of the speed. And I do like the health regeneration, like the health boost. I do like it a lot now. The speed boost is just, I think, a little bit overkill. I think it should be toned down just a tad bit, and then it should be fine. Because I just think the skill gap and how things are for both sides have kind of just dwindled a lot. You know, for the humans, I just don't like the fact that a shotgun can just obliterate a clown in like 3 to 4 hits, and then the axe can just do the same thing pretty much. You know, they nerfed the mace, like, they nerfed the mace basic attack damage, but they buffed the charged up attack, which is kind of nuts. And the Gobstopper flail has remained untouched, I guess. And, you know, none of the other weapons, I think, have gotten really too much love. And, like, for instance, like, the boxing gloves are just not my favorite. I think they're kind of shitty. You know, the popcorn bazooka is still pretty bad, because they kind of, like, fucking obliterated it, but it's still like fun to use, I guess, but it's just not the same as it used to be. And then you know, I think the mallet could have gotten more love. I think if they had buffed up the speed time when you charge it up faster, I think that would have been cool for it. But I just wish things were just a little bit more better overall with the balance. You know, the for me, the shotgun on the human and the pistol and the axe, like, I feel like those need nerfs, because I just don't think it's fair that they can just, like, do all this damage. And you can buff up one of the weaker weapons to compensate, like the tree branch or like the wrench or something. Or just anything else that they feel that needs nerfs. And obviously, it's just how the balance is, because they just, like, overdid LOL. Because I honestly thought, you know, maybe if they'd... Because I thought the healing of it was a little bit weak. Like, the heal boost just wasn't enough before the change. And they made it better, which is nice. They could have maybe just, like, have the speed up a little bit. But they kind of just made it a little bit too fast. But I wonder if they did this change to, like, pretty much just improvise, like, I wonder if they had, like, they probably wanted to be more, like, chase orientated, so they buffed up the speed to kind of make you catch up to them a lot faster. And I don't know if I agree with that 100%. I felt like it could have just been the health boost buff, and then maybe just, I don't know, small damage buff, and that's it. Or just leave it alone. But I just thought that was just crazy how they just wanted it to be speed orientated. But main point I'm making is Killer Klowns is, like, a lot more fun than it used to be. I mean, besides the LOL change, like, the overall balance of it is still kind of mid, but I still have fun just, like, bopping people with, like, the tank clown and using the mallet. You know, I think it's fun to use, like, all these fun weapons and still deal with, like, the goofy animations and the bugs. You know, it's still funny to, like, see and, like, do, like, funny memey shit with. I think it's just really fun to see how the game has progressed since. I mean, it had not the greatest launch, but for the most part, I just still have fun with it, no matter how bad it is. Or just, like, in general world, it's like, if it's buggy and it's bad, you know, I still have, like, some memey shit with the bugs and stuff. Excuse me. You know, Dead by Daylight, you know, with FNAF coming out and all that stuff, like, these games have been on the up and up. I mean, I will say this, is that Dead by Daylight still remains the king of all ASIM games. It always has been. No matter how much you hate the game, no matter how much you dislike it, it's still the king. I just don't know how many times I have to keep moving games, and it's just so frustrating when I have to move, because it's just like, why do I have to keep moving? Because these games just keep dying and dying, and there's just no end to it. There really isn't. It's just like you have to sit there and you wonder to yourself, like, I think the ASIM genre overall is just completely cursed. And obviously, you know, the whole thing with this game is that with these games in general overall, is that they just fumble so hard because, one, they don't have a roadmap, or two, the devs just seem fishy. And that's how I feel with Summer Camp a little bit. I just have more questions than concern. Like, I have, like, a lot of questions and concerns of how long they have content planned for. And they said there's no microtransactions, and there's characters you can unlock in the game. But my question is like, how much do you have time? Do you have a roadmap? Do you have all this other stuff that people are wondering about? Do you have, you know, a solid, like, 2-year plan, 3 or 5 years? Like, how long are you going to keep this game going? And if it's just another flop, then that's just like, okay, that's another ASIM that bites the dust, and Dead by Daylight can just drink coffee and just laugh at the fact another ASIM died. It's just a shit show with these games. They just come out, they fumble, and then people wonder why. Well, yeah, DBD still remains the king and will never be dethroned. I'm not saying another game should dethrone Dead by Daylight, because it'll always be there. I'm just saying it would be nice to have competition. That's all. You know, I would love if it did. And I still will play all these games. Like, you know, I've been getting back into Dead by Daylight because I've been having fun on Killer. Probably the most fun I've ever had in a long time. And, you know, the balance of the game is not perfect by any standard, but it's still fun in some way, because I am 75% Killer on there and 25% Survivor. I mean, I don't mind playing Survivor on that game. Obviously, if I get bored of Killer, I'll switch, but, you know, I just like to see the balance on both sides. Like, maps are a problem in that mode. I know DBD is doing, like, this giant quality of life changes with anti-slugging, tunneling, camping, all that other stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised if they made some perks in the game base kit on Survivor, and Killer just gets absolutely nothing on there. I just have a feeling Killer might get obliterated, because the only thing they're changing on Killer for the quality of life is just that all survivors may start together, and then that's it. You know, there might be a chance that you may get base kit D-Strike and base kit Unbreakable and even base kit Camaraderie or something. It's just like, it's fucking insane. So I don't know what they're gonna do with that. I hope because that's the really only real solution that probably can happen. I don't know if they're gonna simply just make other adjustments, but you never know with these games nowadays, because it's either it's pointedly non-existent or it's just probably obvious at this point. And I don't know what they're gonna do, but it's just gonna end up in the shitter some way or another, right? And also, besides summer camp coming out and all that stuff, I mean, like I said, I'm skeptical about it, but I'll give the game a chance whenever that happens. And with recent news, you got apparently Gun and IllFonic are working together again. And after the fiasco of Friday the 13th, with I think Gun illegally selling Savini Jason skins underneath the table, IllFonic pulled out. And obviously, I guess from Kane Hodder, who's like a motion capture person, he did an interview to where he said he's doing motion capture for Gun and IllFonic, and I guess that indicates they're working together. And it's just been a talked about thing for a little bit from yesterday or 2 days beforehand. And if Gun and IllFonic are doing like an original game, like if it's like a Rush Week type of inspired game, and if it's actually right and it's original, I can get behind it because it's original. They don't have to rely on IPs to do it. If it's something similar to where, like, if how Behavior got Michael Myers and they got like and if this new game of theirs like gets a licensed character or something, I hope they do it right. But problem is just like, you look at how Gun handled Texas, and they claim that they reached full potential, and then they're making a brand new game, and people have been speculating that could be a Friday the 13th remastered. And it's just like, well, if I'm not mistaken, there's already going to be a new F-13 game made by another company, so I don't know if they're really going to do another F-13 game, because that would be stupid, honestly, because Gun has a bad reputation right now, and if they screw up again, they are absolutely fucked and cooked. And I don't want to see that, man. I don't think anybody should buy another Gun game. I mean, I think I'd rather take IllFonic over Gun any day. I mean, I'm curious to know how Gun would have, or how IllFonic would have took Texas Chainsaw if they had the rights to it. That would have been interesting. I mean, I don't know. They kind of did poorly with Killer Clowns of how they handled it being like a Friday the 13th like inspiration. But if they had kept the original concept the way it did, I would be curious to know how the spaceship route, where you invade the spaceship and stop the clown apocalypse. I would have been interesting to see how that would have played. That could have been a game mode or something if they wanted the game to be similar to F-13, but with them removing perks and the Trapper Clown, that was ridiculous on their part. That kind of fucked the game over, if I'm being honest. But I don't know, the Gun and IllFonic working together, they must have realized that both their games that they've made have just went to shit. They might have to work together this time again to actually do the right thing. But Gun's dev team are just a bunch of idiots from how they handled Texas Chainsaw. So I don't know. Now with Behavior and stuff, they've had a difficult track history, but main point I'm trying to go over is just of really what game to cover. And I think I'm just going to do DBD and Killer Clowns, honestly, because that's where I kind of want to go at this point, because I've been having fun with both. I've been just like all over the place with just having to stick to one game when I could do multiple. I know I'm not like a top tier content creator, I'm far from that, but I can just upload whatever I want, I guess, at this point, because I feel like I'm also limiting myself to other games. I mean, I don't really have a main game at this point. I can play whatever. I've reinstalled My Hero Ultra Rumble. I kind of want to play that too. I haven't played it in a long time, so I don't know how that game is nowadays. I don't know what the balance is, but I would definitely still play it if I had the motivation to. But I have to get back into it to actually grind it out again. I don't know how the game is now with the changes. I haven't played in like months, or maybe 2 years, a year or two. I don't remember, but I highly would get back into it. It's just one of these things of just having to wonder, like, what's the next step? And now, because you always wonder to yourself, like, do you feel achieved? Like, do you actually want to get to where you're at? And obviously I want to hit 1,000 subs. That's a goal I want to do. And once I do, I hope I'm able to grow bigger than that and get to a safer spot. You know, we reached 600 recently, and I thank you all for that. I just wanted to say, like, it's just a weird thing of, like, having to deal with all these games just, like, fumbling. And I know there's, like, besides Summer Camp, there's going to be a Michael Myers game made by Boss Team Games and another dev company, and I'm just concerned, like, how that's going to be. Is that another ASIM game? Apparently, excuse me, that John Carpenter is all over that project, so I'm hoping if they actually get that game right, and Boss Team Games is the publisher, because they are, I'm hoping they redeem themselves from Evil Dead. And it wasn't Boss Team Games' fault that the game fumbled. It was, I blame that on Saber and the IP holders on that, because they're a bunch of dicks. But I'm hoping that, you know, the John Carpenter game or the Michael Myers game does really well, and it actually flourishes out, it's polished, and it's actually well made. I mean, if it's just another 1v4 with perks like DBD, that you're going to get those comparisons a lot from all these other games as well. So I'm curious to know if that's going to be 1v4, as if it's going to work different. Can you kill Michael Myers? Can you not kill him? That'll be interesting. Will that affect Michael Myers in Dead by Daylight? Probably not. I mean, it didn't do it with Ash when his game came out, so who knows? I don't know what's happening. It didn't work with Ash. It didn't work with Leatherface, so we haven't gotten any Leatherface content in DBD for like 2 years, 3 years, I think. And, you know, hell, I don't even think there's going to be a Nightmare on Elm Street ASIM game. I highly doubt that will happen, because I think the Wes Craven estate is super locked down on that. So who knows? I think I'm going to wrap it up here, because I don't want to keep like rambling on too much. So just to recap, I will be doing DBD and Killer Clowns, because I definitely do think these games are probably going to have to be the two I play. Maybe some My Hero. I don't know if I should do a Dragon Ball fighting game. I don't know yet. But again, I'll make a whole separate video on Texas Chainsaw, because I don't want to the self-torture of playing that game again. I will only play that game again only if my streamer friend plays customs, or if my other friend wants to play mods. So that'll be the only time. But again, I'll cover that in a whole nother video when peer-to-peer comes out, because I really will want to, because I want to get my real thoughts out there on that, because I'm not going to go off, but I will really just say my opinion on how things are going. So that's just how I feel. But other than that, guys, I thank you all so much for watching my videos, as always. Don't forget to like, comment, and sub, and I will catch you guys on the next video. I love you all, as always. Happy Friday the 13th, and as always, stay groovy.